and I don't think it's very likely that you will get it early. But if you do, congratulations, and I hope you enjoy it. Because again, it's something that I do want as well, but I need to set up, I need to draw the line somewhere, and I feel like this banner in particular draws the line. It already surpassed it for me a million times. I'm sorry. The more I think about it, the more I'm just like, nah, man, I'm not falling for this. I'm sorry, I'm not going for this. Why am I so weak, man? You have no idea how ashamed I am of myself. You know what? I guess it's one of those things that at least I can just go and cry now on my new car. Nah, this car is insane. I was so wrong about not getting this car. Holy. Keep in mind that what am I about to say is more biased because I already own the collab, okay? So if you're not as lucky as me, or you are more doubtful about pulling up for this collab, keep in mind that I have that bias that I already own the rewards of the collabs, okay? So, about this collab, if you're at 0, can you get this collab? If you have a max account, and max account is not like appraisal level 50, no, I'm not talking about that. If you have a max account in your City Tycoon Cafe, you're gonna have, at least if I'm not mistaken, 50k guaranteed every day, which doesn't looks like that much, but if you have been playing for a while already, you might be having that amount of funds, and that's very helpful. Another thing you should know about this collab is that we didn't even get all the events yet. We only got the underground circuit that I finished this, but I didn't use this annullith in the Porsche collab. Actually, that didn't happen. Let's say you are at 0, but you have a strong team. Can you get everything from the collab if you are at 0? I think if you are at 0, but you have an account that is quote-unquote maxed out, you are only gonna be missing out one pool. At least from the things that I've been reviewing and watching, like, and the math, if it doesn't fail me, if you farm for the event through the entirety of the patch, it's likely that you're gonna get 14 out of 15 for the Porsche collab. Although, keep in mind that the last one, again, is the one that is most expensive. So, it is still a big chunk of annullith or funds. Keep in mind this, if you're at 0, you won't get this collab. Like, if you're at 0 right now, you won't get this collab because you're gonna be missing out on one pool, very likely. So, unless you are at 0, I actually believe that you can get the collab. If you care about the car and the skin, I think you can actually get it. If you might be wondering, like, how much funds and annullith did everything cost me, like, I wasn't keeping a track exactly of how much, but I can tell you an estimate. It was around 2 million funds and probably 6,000 annullith. That was pretty much it. Yeah, 2 million funds and 6,000 annullith, which is a lot, but again, I already had that amount. I didn't really farm for the event itself. It's just an annullith that I had before, and I just took the decision to, pull it for it anyways. What weighed more in my case, if owning these cosmetics, and yes, these are cosmetics, because the car, you can say that, no, but the stats of the car is pay to win. No. The car is actually an overpriced cosmetic, because if you farm for the regalia and you customize the regalia, if I'm not mistaken, it's slightly cheaper than getting the Porsche itself, and the stats is about the same. So don't judge getting the Porsche based on how fast you're gonna be, because the fastest car in the game that doesn't have any FOMO attached to it is around the same stats. Another thing that you should know, in my case, I just didn't really care about the next 2 characters that are coming up. I would even argue that the third one I don't really care about either, even though I consider that if I farm for the 1.1 and the 1.2, it's likely that I will get the other character, but whatever. You know what? It doesn't matter, it's just a speculation. I'm just gonna tell you what I have right now. What I have right now is that I got extremely lucky with the skin, and I got it in the 5th pool. But with the car, I got a bit of luck, and I got it in the 14th pool. And you might say that, well, that's not lucky at all, because you only miss one reward. And I'm like, I mean, yes, but the last pool is the most expensive one. I did have the amulet for it, but I use it in Lacrimosa, and not really even in Lacrimosa. I was trying to pull up for a duplicate for Lacrimosa, but at the same time, it's one of those things that I don't care about much duplicates, so I was mostly like, even if I don't get duplicate for Lacrimosa, building up for the pity is still a win for me, you know? Like, I won't be upset to not get the Lacrimosa duplicate, either way. Another thing you should keep in mind is that I didn't pull up for Nanali at all. I did pull up for Hotori, but I didn't get Hotori because I was building up the pity for Lacrimosa, and I figured it out that I wasn't gonna get Hotori very early, and I was gladly right. Otherwise, I wouldn't have Lacrimosa, or maybe I will, but I don't know. I was just unlucky, but I was lucky with being unlucky in that case. Another thing I did to get more funds to not basically use all my annulith in the collab was going to the mall, and this is something that, again, it won't help you if you want to pull up for characters in the future, but it helps me because I don't really care about that much right now, at least for the next 2, and it's going to the fair exchange. I use my warp pieces and convert them into funds. 20 of this is 100k funds, so that's always good to have if you want to recover funds and you are extremely pulling for a character already, which in my case was Lacrimosa. Lacrimosa, as well, I already had Dice's store before, so I had my Lacrimosa guaranteed either way. However, what I wasn't counting with is that if I kept pulling, I was gonna have enough to farm the pity for maybe a future character, or if I was lucky to get a duplicate for Lacrimosa, because she does an insane amount of damage with the duplicate. Also, just to put between brackets, I got insanely lucky in this patch, because when I pulled for this, I was free to play. Like, I didn't even have that membership thing, that's what I'm saying, and I got the skin. Also, if you are like saving for any of these standard banner characters, which I'm not, like, don't do this. It's just one of the things that gave me a lot of funds already as a person that was already pulling for Lacrimosa, but it's also free to play. Or was, because now I got the Rift Crystal permit that is just $5, but it gives me enough for basically to recover what quote unquote lost, basically. Like, I'm not really that upset to spending $5 on that. If you're optimal about your account, should you have done the thing that I did? No. If you are free to play, don't do it, because you're gonna be missing out on characters that maybe will be helpful for your account. If you're not optimal for your account like me, then yes, like, it's simple as that. If you like the car and you like the skin, go for it. I wouldn't pull for this collab still if I wasn't set in stone that I'm gonna get everything in the last pool. That's what I want you to remember, because I was lucky. I was very lucky in general with this patch, but I'm not the norm. I'm definitely not the norm. Now, getting the skin in the 5th pool is not the norm. But anyways, I hope you guys enjoyed the video. If you did, make sure to leave a like, subscribe, and tell me if you already got the skin, the collab. Also, if you're wondering how much is to paint the Porsche itself, I think it was $1 million, more or less. My funds didn't left in the Porsche collab. Funny enough, my funds actually left by getting these 3 keys for the Lacrimosa weapon. I had to spend a huge amount of funds just to get her signature weapon, which is something that is not that exciting, but it's something that I felt like I need for my account, at least for my main DPS, you know. Like, I'm not gonna do that for if I pull up for a support or anything like that, but for my main DPS, I was like, yeah, I should pull up for her weapon. But anyway, peace out.